This is the Crowbar, back for Mission 4 of my Metal Gear Rising Revengeance guide. The first thing you'll want to do in this mission is hop over the counter and take out the Robo-Secretary. This will spawn a wave of enemies, and one of these enemies has a data arm that you need to chop off. Enemies from this point on are almost exclusively the more powerful cyborgs. They have better armor, better weapons, and are more aggressive. Now, at the end of the last battle, you unlocked a Sai. And the Sai is kind of a funky weapon. It allows for some good combo possibilities, but it's a bit more of an advanced weapon than your polearm. If you want to use it, go ahead and buy it and experiment with it a bit, but I don't really find that all that necessary on normal mode. After that battle, you will also have unlocked Raiden's Super Mode, which is Ripper Mode. And if you've ever played an action game before, you're pretty much familiar with what this is. If you tap in both sticks when you have full fuel cells, you'll go into Ripper Mode, which makes all of your attacks much more powerful for as long as you have it activated. And it's kind of limited a little bit in its use. I would say, generally speaking, against normal enemies, it's better just to use Blade Mode and Zandatsu. If you're fighting tougher foes like Grods or Mastiffs, it can be really useful. Up on this landing here, there's a bunch of items inside of the glass, and these are going to be useful in a minute. And inside one of these glass cases, you'll find a data terminal for another VR mission. And then before you go to the elevators, you can also find a data storage here. Jump out onto this pillar and then cross over the television sets along the wall, and it will be right here. Once you head to the elevators here, you'll be told that they need time to power up, which will cue a big wave of enemies coming in the front door. You can't actually go down to fight them. You have to wait for them to come up and fight you. You can, however, shoot them with all of the items that were in the glass cases there, and there are also 2 turret guns up on this ledge here that you can use to take care of them too. I am pretty sure these are the only turret guns in the game, so if you want to use a turret gun in Metal Gear Rising, this is your chance. And eventually, the enemies will rush you up here, and at that point, you can ditch the mounted gun and just fight them normally. And one of these enemies will have a data arm that you can chop off. I'm trying to chop it off here, I just keep getting shot when I try to do it. And you don't actually need to take out this whole wave of enemies. Eventually, your objective marker will pop up, and once that pops up, you can end this fight by just going to the elevator. Now, this next area that we're going into, if you're going for collectibles, it kind of has a complicated little chain of stuff you need to do. You can't be caught while you're doing things here. However, getting this one certain limb first makes it likely so that you're going to be caught. So the first thing you want to do is go in here, and you can grab the items in this room, and then access the VR mission terminal here. And then just restart your checkpoint after that. You've already accessed it, so it's there forever. Now, instead of going in that room, head around the corner and go in here. And the enemy we want to target is this guy in this room. However, the guy in the room across the way from him will see him. It's the one further on. So you need to wait for him to turn around, which he just did, and then you can go in here and chop this guy's arm off.
An electrical panel nearby. Use your enhanced AR to locate it.
Now, in order to get the second guy with an arm here, whose arm we need to chop off, go ahead and restart again, because we have to kill all these guys with stealth, and he'll only spawn if you do that. Get to this point, come in this room, and stealth kill this guy.
Use your enhanced AR to locate it.
Head over here and wait for him to turn his back.
There should be an electrical panel nearby. Use your enhanced AR to locate it.
Then move across the room, and you should have enough time to take this guy out. Now, the only guy left is the one in the opposite room from this one that you cut the arm off earlier. It's a bit of a roundabout way to get all this stuff with the restarting, but it's the easiest way to do it without having to do a bunch of stuff in a complicated sequence. And you're probably going to have to restart at some point anyway, if you just try it normally. Now that all those guys are dead, you can move on to the actual objective of this mission, which is cutting these electrical panels in the wall. And now, the normal way to access these is to use your AR mode, and you can see wires running through the wall, but I just know where they all are.
Excellent. Just one more.
Now, this guy in this room, the heavy cyborg, is the other one with the arm that you need to chop off. And what makes that a little bit difficult is that there's no way, at least that I know of, that you can actually stealthily approach that guy. I was trying to maybe get a caution here and pull him out so I could maybe sneak up behind him, but he sees you, and once he sees you, he's locked on. So you just have to cut his arm off during combat. And you will also have to fight one of these guys, too. So I'd recommend taking out this guy first, because he'll make it a real pain to try to get that arm off. And then once he's done, you can focus on taking out the heavy cyborg to get his limb. Getting limbs off these guys is a little bit easier than getting limbs off of regular cyborgs. Since they're heavy, their torsos are really heavily armored. And if you just deal damage to them enough, eventually you'll break the armor on their arm, like I just did there. And once you do that, it's easy to slice through the arm without slicing through the rest of their body. And after that battle, you can come into these rooms and get some BP. And then you can also find another VR terminal. And then the last circuit we need to slash is in this room here, behind this bookshelf.
Yes, that should take care of security. Now, head back to the gate.
And there will be another heavy cyborg at the gates to the next area. Use this terminal, and then head down this hallway. You'll have a little codec conversation. And this next area is kind of a different styled area. There's a whole bunch of enemies, and you don't actually have to fight them all. In fact, the game encourages you to just run through them. And you can stick around to kill everybody if you want, but you don't have to.
You do not have to fight every enemy you encounter, Ryder. Try and keep moving. Nice of them to blow open the door for me, yeah? Idiots.
And in the last room of this run here, you'll be ambushed by a Desperado custom Grodd, which is the same as the boss you fought earlier, actually. However, at this point, you've gotten a bunch more abilities, and he hasn't improved at all. And this should be a pretty easy encounter.
All these sliders in the area. Perhaps they could be put to use.
Once the Grodd's dead, you'll get a prompt to jump out of the building and kill some of these bird enemies. And then once you're done with that, you'll end up on the side of the building. And to get up the side, it's a little bit of a funky control scheme here because it's really slow to turn left and right while you're running up the building. And what you want to do is zigzag, like I'm doing here, because there's just a little tiny spot open on each side when you're going by. And then upon completing this will wrap up part 1 of my guide for Mission 4, and I'll pick it back up in the next video.